All right, so let's begin.
Let's begin.
All right, guys, welcome to today's episode. This is volume 1 of the Nightcrawler series. And Nightcrawlers is a online community. We like to inspire people to achieve their dreams, get their goals. If you want to start your own business, if you want to mentor people, whatever it is you want to do, we want to be there and support you along the way. Today's guest is Asama. Asama, can you please introduce yourself?
Of course, thank you very much. So my name is Asama. I grew up in Dubai. I am half Japanese, half Pakistan. Right now, I'm back in Tokyo for university, and currently I'm enrolled in a fully English-taught economics program in a university called Keio University. And right now, I'm working at an internship in a company called Blink Roppongi, which is a startup co-working space that was made in 2018. And I'm currently helping as a marketing specialist / event organizer or community developer.
No, that sounds really interesting.
Thank you very much.
Really interesting. So we met about 6 months ago?
Yeah, it was I think the first event we did together was in January, I think, right?
Right, but we met in the event.
Yeah, we met in Anthony's event. So that was gonna be on November, I think.
Right.
So, which means it's been around 6 months. Yeah.
All right. Sounds great.
Long.
Yeah, definitely. So can you tell me when did you start working at Blink? How this all came together? Tell me about this.
Right. So the moment I actually entered Blink was in May of last year, so 2019, May of 2019.
Okay.
And before that, on February of 2019, I joined an event called Slush Tokyo, which I think some of you might know if you're in the startup world. But to explain it very simply, it's an event that is meant to connect startups, new startups, and maybe a bit more bigger startups together with investors from all around the world. It is originally, I think, an event from Finland. Okay. And now it's happening around the world. And I think this 2019 event in Tokyo was, I think, the 5th or 6th. I'm not sure, but it's not the first.
Right.
And one of the biggest startup events in the world.
Wow.
And I was volunteering there as a meeting area in the meeting area team. And, there was a Facebook page that was created for these volunteers in this event.
Okay.
And in this page, Blink's, which is the startup that I'm currently interning for. So Blink's, job role or position was being shared in this page, and that's when I first found out about it. And then I applied, and then I just went through the interviews, and I'm here as an intern.
Right. So basically, just destiny.
Yep. It was destiny.
Right.
Destiny.
All right. So things just connected, and you just arrived there. That's really cool.
Right. That event really did change a lot for me.
Definitely. Can you tell me how?
Right. So until that point, I wasn't really aware of the business society / world. I didn't know what really was investors. I did not know what was startups. I didn't know I heard of them, but I never knew what they were, honestly. Right. And, after joining this event, I was introduced to so many different professionals, entrepreneurs, freelancers, and startups, as well as investors. And, being in this very fast-paced world / event,
right,
it really does push you forward. And it made me more curious about the world itself, the business world itself.
Right.
And that's what really changed me. It changed my mindset. I had to be more curious about the world. I had to study more. There was so much things I did not know about the world.
Right.
Yeah, it just made me more curious, I'd say, if I were to end it to a sentence. Yeah.
Were you curious before you joined Blink? Were there a hint or some sort of interest towards business before?
Well, before I joined Blink, I was actually working in Puma as
Puma.
yeah, as a retail assistant. I'm not sure. It's Puma in Harajuku.
Oh,
I
okay.
think some of you might have gone there. It's beside the big Nike shop.
I think
Right?
I've seen it from outside, definitely.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think a lot of you have seen it because it's really close to the Omotesando / Harajuku station. So,
Hmm, hmm.
right. And I was working there for around 10 months before like, yeah, for the first 2 months after entering Blink, I was doing both. But
Okay.
anyways, yeah, before I entered Blink, I was working there. And, I was second year in university student, and let me tell you something, Japanese university students, most of them,
Yeah.
80% of them, they don't really think too much about the future,
Really?
at least until they're like second year, they don't really think too much. And honestly, a lot of them don't really study so much, to be completely honest with you.
Do you know
I
why?
was still one of the better ones
Uh-huh.
compared to the people around me. But yeah, seriously. And then right, so that's why, I think this was also you know a bit because of the surrounding environment and
Right.
atmospheres. But yeah, like them, I wasn't really thinking too much about my future at that point.
Mm,
I was like, it's too early. But right now I really do regret about that. But
right.
yeah, at that point, I was not really thinking about the future. I was just trying to enjoy the life at the present. But so after entering the event, after joining the event, you see all these influential people that's
Mm,
really trying to do their best in what they love and really trying to change the world, their business, and bringing their business to the next level. It really does make you think, oh, is there like, is thinking about the present only the best? I
right.
think, shouldn't we just think about the future as well? the
Mm,
future is the future could be what's even more important than the present, right? you
definitely.
Maybe it's better to work for the future than the present.
Exactly.
And that's what kind of changed my mindset. So now I'm doing an internship for a better future, for my
Exactly.
career and stuff. So right, I guess that's what I could say that changed me a lot.
That's really interesting. So before you were just, enjoying your life, having fun, but then once you joined Blink, you saw that, there's so many things that can be done to create a
Mhm.
better future. That's really powerful.
Indeed
So
it
you
is.
said that university students in Japan, especially like in second year, first year, they don't really think about the future. I didn't go to university in Japan. Can you tell me how that experience is
Mhm.
like?
Well, so university in Japan, it's usually thought of as it's really difficult to enter a good university.
Okay.
But once you enter the university, it becomes a lot more easier compared to something like American universities. American universities, on the other hand, although I'm not going to say it's easy to enter, but I think it's easier to enter than Japanese top
Right.
universities.
Right. Right.
But
Right.
then it's going to be really difficult after you enter. You're going to be having to put really hard work into your studies, right? But in Japan, it's the opposite, I'd say. Yeah, I mean, maybe not Tokyo University and that kind of university, but Keio University is considered to be one of the top private universities, or actually the top private university in Japan, along
Definitely.
with Waseda. And speaking about this university, I think you don't really have to put as much effort as you would when entering the university. So that's why I think that also kind of correlates or plays into part when people start to become more or sorry, less hardworking in their studies and concentrating more on things such as social circles,
Right.
clubs,
Right.
sports, and just having fun in general.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So then the
Indeed.
future and the hard work comes later for them.
Right. They started thinking about the future around the third year of university life.
All right.
Although I'm not gonna say, obviously it's the same. This goes for everyone,
Right.
but as far as I can see, like honestly, at least 70%, it they are really like that. So yeah, that's what
Mm,
I'd say.
interesting. What do
Mhm.
you think is like the common opinions or thoughts within uh, the Japanese young generation? Like, are they concerned about the future? Do they want to enjoy more the present? Like, what is that about?
I would say, yeah, most of them want to enjoy the present.
Hmm.
They will be joining circles, such as, and in case some of you might not know what
Right.
circles are basically, in other words, clubs
Mm,
for Japanese students in
right.
university. These circles could be anything from magician circles to juggling
Really?
circles, card game circles, and even basketball circles. Anything you can really imagine, there's probably a circle for that.
Wow.
And these are what Japanese people tend to commit in. They really do spend most of their university life trying to create, there's tournaments in these circles as well. So they try to win tournaments, or they just simply try to have fun or improve their skill in that respective circle, or what they do in that circle. So I'd say, there are really, most of the students in Japan try to enjoy the present. They try to do their best at the present, but they're not
Right.
really thinking about the future.
Mhm,
And
mhm.
this a good example of this might be people joining the dancing circles.
Okay.
In Japanese universities, dancing circles are considered to be the popular guys circles, right?
Okay. Okay.
Um, yeah, the cool
Mhm.
girls and cool guys
Right.
enter
Right.
the
Right. Right.
circle, right? But those people, they don't really want to be a dancer in the future, most of them, right?
Mm,
Maybe like 10% to 20% of them might be actually thinking of a career in dancing, but other than that, um, they are not really thinking of doing dancing as their full-time job in the future.
right.
So they are really just trying to enjoy that moment, that
Mhm.
university life, which I'm not going to say it's wrong. I
Right.
think university only lasts for 4 years if you're just doing bachelor's degree in Japan. So
Right. Right.
after that you're going to be working forever and ever for a really long time. So I think that is also one correct choice in my opinion.
Mhm.
But at the same time, I feel like if you want to have a successful career, then it really is beneficial to start from early on,
Mhm, mhm.
which is what I'm trying to do right now. So yeah, that's what I would say.
Definitely.
Mhm.
So, how many of those students you think are like thinking about internships? How many of those students?
Right. So in Japan, I'm not sure about the past, but recently, or
Right.
in the recent years,
Right.
there's this thing called summer internships.
Okay.
But these summer internships, most of them are like short term. It's like 5 days, 2 days, 3 days, one day. And
Oh.
this is, although they're called internships, they're just another step for application process for the job hunting,
Okay.
right?
Mm.
And a lot of people tend to join these kind of internships. Not many join the long-term
Right.
internships.
Right.
You won't really see many people doing that, but they're going to be focusing on the summer, applying to like 20 internships of these, 5-day, 2-day, 3-day internships. And then that's when their job application also starts,
Mm.
because after that summer,
Right.
they have to start applying to the actual full-time jobs after graduation,
Right.
which is around, I think, their second half of the third year.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean, if not many people will be joining internships, long-term internships like the one I'm in,
Mhm.
they're going to be focusing on the shorter term ones.
Ah, got it. Got it. Got it. That's quite interesting.
Yeah, I know it
Wow.
is.
Definitely. So, I know that many of those people then they do job hunting, and then many of them just kind of conform to the first job that they get.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Definitely.
what do you think about this? Because, for example, in the United States,
Mm-hmm.
you pursue a career in, let's say, marketing, and then you graduate, and then each person they do their job hunting anytime, it's fall, spring, winter, whenever they graduate, and then they get a job with the company, in that field. In Japan, I know it's a little bit more different. People tend to they graduate, they do like shukatsu, and then they just get some, whatever they can. Can you tell
Mm-hmm.
me more about that?
Right. So in Japan, there's a word for what you just mentioned, like staying in one company for their whole life. It's
Oh,
called it's called shushin koyo.
uh huh, uh huh.
So this term basically means, well, human resource until end of your life or something like that.
Wow.
Something like that. But
Okay.
so basically, yeah, Japan's working culture really does, expect you to stay in one company for a very, very long time to the point where they have a word for it, right?
Right, right.
So, but I must say it is starting to change,
Okay.
and we're seeing a lot more companies that's allowing 通年採用, which means you can apply at any time you like of the year, as long as the position is open.
Right.
And also, Japan's law is changing, I think, in 1 or 2 years, where usually until this year or next year, we were having a strict job application
Right.
period.
Right. Correct.
And I think you also know it, but
Right, right.
students, graduates, they have to start applying from around April for Japanese companies.
Correct.
Like April 1st, the Japanese companies open their application
Right.
process.
Right. Right. Right.
And that's when they all apply at the same time. And then they have to go through the interviews. And then around June or July, they start getting the acceptance mails. But this is strictly speaking about Japanese companies. I'm not mentioning about foreign companies or
Right.
startups, for example. But
Right.
yeah, for example, I think a lot of you might know the big companies in Japan called, for example, Shosha,
Mm-hmm.
Mitsubishi Shoji, or
Right. Right.
Zeibussan. Like all
Right.
these companies
Right.
have a strict, human resource schedule like that. So yeah, that's what I would say. So people tend to try to prepare for those periods up to that point.
Right. 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 Right.
Yeah, but it is starting to change. So that's what I'll say. Yeah,
Right. Why do you think this is changing?
I'd say because there's a lot more foreign students coming into Japan as well, and foreign students obviously they are not aware of this system in Japan,
Right.
because I think it's strictly within Japan that they have this schedule.
Right. 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 Right.
So, and especially that the government is trying to, bring in more foreigners into the country because the labor force is really decreasing.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I think they're trying to, adjust to foreign standards and customs.
Right.
Because I do think that it is really unnecessary to have this kind of schedule, especially for me, considering like I joined university on September of 2017
Right.
because my program is more for the international target.
Right.
So our program starts in September,
Right.
and which that means that I'm also gonna be graduating on September of
Right.
2021.
Right.
But many of the companies on their job requirements or application requirements, they mention that you have to be graduated by April of 2021 to apply to this role.
Wow.
And for me, that kind of decreases the amount of choices I have by around 50 to 70%. Even Google had that requirement, so I was pretty surprised. But
Wow. Even Google.
yes, even Google for graduate roles, yeah,
Right.
undergraduate
Right.
roles.
Right. Right.
And I was really surprised, honestly. But yeah, so I think Japan and Japanese companies and companies in Japan in general have to really change that system
Right.
because it's, well, at the same time, if I wait for 6 months
Mm-hmm.
and apply for roles in 2022, I could do that. But I'm sure most of the people want to start working as soon as they graduate university. So
Right.
I think there really is a requirement to change the system.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Definitely. No, I completely understand. I agree with you. It's definitely globalization.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Definitely.
That's just like, changing everything. But I want to go all the way back to the start. You said that you are half Japanese, half Pakistani.
Mm-hmm.
And can you tell me how your life growing up was like? Being a child of two worlds. How was that like?
Right. So I was actually born in a city called Nagoya in Japan.
Ah, Nagoya. Okay.
Yes, it's a bit smaller than Tokyo, I think, but it's considered one of the three big cities in Japan.
Mm-hmm.
And in 2004, I moved to Dubai,
Mm-hmm.
and because of father's work and stuff, so
Mm-hmm.
parental reasons. And I was living there for around 14 years until I graduate high school. So yeah, I honestly don't really remember too much about my very, very early childhood in Japan. But
Right.
if I
Right.
were to compare my university life
Okay.
and my student life in Dubai,
Right.
I'd really say that in Dubai there's just a lot more, well, I'd say unique is justice in Dubai
Okay.
compared to Japan. In Japan, I think many of you might know, but going along or standing out from the crowd is considered really not really good, to be honest. People try to pin down people who try to be unique. They want you to go along with the society's norms. But
Right.
in Dubai, on the other hand, being unique is what brings you to success.
Wow.
Being unique allows you to become the classroom's popular guy or girl, and
Mm.
that is what brings people to you, and that is what brings success to you in Dubai. So that's, I think, one of the biggest differences, and I think this also goes for a lot of countries such as America, maybe in the Europe as well. I think
Right.
Japan and maybe Korea or China has the other kind of norms, but
Right.
I think that's one of the biggest differences.
Right.
And also, I would say, regarding the difference, well, the multicultural society in Dubai is really one of the biggest differences. As
Wow.
we all know, Japan is an island country, so I think historically that really did play a big part in creating a homogeneous society in Japan. However,
Right.
in Dubai, well, it's still one of the recent news, but it has proved to be a great. It has proved to be successful in growing really rapidly, very recently, with its booming tourism industry, as well as the oil and things such as those things.
Right.
And that really did bring in a lot of foreign investors into the country and many expats from all around the world, which is why a very interesting fact is that there's actually less locals than foreign expats. So that's
Wow.
how much it's consisting of different cultures. So it really was a melting pot of different nations,
Okay. Okay.
which allowed me to have a perspective on
Mhm.
many different cultures.
Right.
I was able to look at different topics and problems and issues from the perspectives of all the different ethnicities and
Right.
cultures. So
Right. Right.
I
Right.
think that's the two biggest differences between Japan and Dubai.
Okay. So
Mhm.
basically, you were born in Nagoya, and then you
Mhm.
moved to Dubai. You had all this international experience. You experienced, the melting pot that is
Mhm.
Dubai. And then when you came back to Japan, did you have any like reverse culture shock? Because it is your culture. You were born here, but
Mhm.
spending so much time abroad, did you get any shock or like what happened there?
Right. So I'd say the biggest shock was gonna be the tatemae and honne culture.
Ooh, tell us about that.
Right, of course. So these two terms are what probably defines Japanese cultural norm.
Oh yeah.
And I'd say, so in Japan, there's a common norm where people have to follow, which is they usually don't say what they mean to the people right in their face, but they keep it in their heart or they say it behind your back. So
Ooh.
that's what really happens quite a lot in Japan. And so tatemae is what's called what you're saying to the person while like what face to face.
Mhm.
So this is the part where you're not saying what you actually feel. You're kind of
Right,
lying.
right,
One is to say. And then honne is what you actually feel. So
right.
what you're not going to be telling to the person himself or herself, but what you actually feel and what you could be telling behind your back. And this is probably what shocked me the most. It
Oh,
was really difficult to,
okay.
adjust to this because in Dubai, people say whatever they're thinking, in a good and bad way, I mean, but people are really honest with their feelings. They're honest with other people, which is why there isn't really any confusion that happens when we're speaking with other people. But in Japan, I mean, if you were to mention something very straight or clearly, such as, I don't know, maybe in a group project, and you have some comments or feedback where you disagree with the other person.
Mhm.
But I mean, it's not like you're saying, oh, I don't think that's a good idea, or I think that's
Right,
a very bad idea.
right,
No, 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 not like that. I mean, I think that's a great idea, but how about this? Or like, I think this is even better, but
right.
you want to say those stuff. But in Japan, I mean, it's a bit difficult to say that kind of things because I mean, that's where honne and tatemae culture comes in. It's kind of the society makes it kind of difficult for you to disagree with other people,
Oh yeah.
and I think that's what really caught me off guard the most when coming back to Japan.
Definitely. Was there an experience or something, that happened that really, shocked you, like a specific event
Hmm.
that you remember?
Right. So, I mean, for my case, thankfully, I didn't have a very big event that, I, well, shikujita, which means I screwed up.
Right, right,
But
right, right, right.
yeah, but it was more of an accumulation of the small things, like,
Mhm.
oh wait, I wasn't really supposed to say that, or
Right.
later on, friend tells me like, you probably, it's probably better for you not to say that, and things like that,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
So it
yeah, yeah.
was more of an accumulation of those small kind of events, and that's what troubled me a lot.
Is this type of culture, do you enjoy this, or would you like people to be more straightforward with you?
Well, considering I was living or I grew up for 14 years outside of this
Right,
norm,
right,
I would say I definitely enjoy people being more clear and straightforward.
right.
I mean, a bit difficult to guess or try
Yeah.
to, there's a new task that I have to do where I
Mhm.
have to guess what the other guy is actually thinking.
Yeah.
So it's kind of stressful, it's stressful and it takes time and it takes that much effort out of you that which you could have done or which you could have used in something else. So I
Mm,
definitely prefer, a clear life or a clear society.
definitely. But of
Mhm.
course, you have to use tatema and hone to survive in your daily life.
True.
Yeah, I completely agree with you because, growing up in Venezuela, in Latin America, people are so straightforward, like
Mhm.
just so straightforward. And when I moved to America, I actually had this same culture shock. Uh, American people also have this tatema and hone thing. It's a
Yeah.
little bit more subtle,
Oh,
but
really?
but it is there. People are more polite. If they really want to say something, they don't say it. But in Venezuela, like even though you go to a restaurant or you go to a store and you want to talk to the staff, usually in America they'll be like, "Hey, how are you? Welcome." In Venezuela, the guy or the girl will be like checking their phone, like, "Uh huh, what you want?" like that, like
Wow.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah. No, I
I mean,
completely
in a
understand.
way, I think, this Tatema and Hone culture does have a positive side to it as well. I
Sure,
think,
sure, sure, sure.
that I think this is what led to Japan being considered as having one of the best customer service.
Oh yeah,
I mean, in Japan, everyone in the world already knows that uh, every tourist that comes to Japan, they always
right,
say that, wow, Japanese customer service is probably one of the best that I ever
right, right, right,
experienced.
right, right, right.
And that really is made possible by this culture because
Yeah.
people try to show only the good side of themselves and they try to do their best at it. So in a way, I think there's always a positive side to it, but
Definitely.
I personally would prefer a more clear
Right.
society.
Exactly.
Hmm.
Exactly. I think it's also interesting. I've had some encounters with some Japanese, colleagues or people that I work with when they try to speak English and they
Hmm.
speak English using the Japanese style. It's quite interesting. Like, oh, this is good, but how about this? And I'm like, just tell me, right? Like,
Yeah,
this
yeah, I get what
sucks.
you mean. Yeah, yeah, what you mean. Yeah, I mean, even the foreign people who come to Japan and stay here for quite some time, they start to change,
Oh
and they
yeah.
don't realize they change.
Oh yeah.
But
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
I mean, yeah, I mean, if you're living in Japan, it might be a good change
Sure.
since you're
Sure.
being able to adjust more. But
Sure.
yeah, I mean, some people don't realize they're actually changing. But
Yeah.
what's best for foreigners is being able to use both sides in
Yeah.
a good balance,
Yeah.
depending on who you're talking to. Because I think if you're talking to a foreign person, then I'm sure most of them will definitely appreciate a more clear
Sure.
approach
Sure. Sure.
topic.
Sure. Sure.
But yeah, I think if you're speaking to a Japanese professional, on the other hand, I think
Right. Right.
they may prefer the tatemae honne since that's
Right.
what
Right.
they're
Right. Right.
accustomed
Right. Right.
to. Mhm.
No, completely agree with you. It's definitely good to adapt, but at the same time, keep your own thing as well. Completely
Definitely.
agree with you. Um, that's beautiful. So now let's go back to the community thing. You told me how you started working in Blink. when you started working in Blink, was your community big already, or?
Right. So this community that we're speaking about, I think I should explain that first, right?
Yes, please.
So yeah, the community is called BlinkConnect. Um, we actually created it after I joined, so it wasn't there before I joined, right? Um, and it's been around 8 to 9 months now, I think,
Okay.
since we created it.
Mhm.
So I mean, speaking about the timeline, right?
Right, right.
We created it around 2 months after I joined, right? And the background of creating it was when we were having a meeting and we realized, co-working space business, our business model doesn't really allow for the younger professionals and maybe even students
Mhm.
to really come in and have a taste of what it is like
Right,
for share office and co-working
right,
offices.
right, right,
So
right,
that's why we decided, like it'll be great if we can have some sort of platform where we can engage with these younger audiences.
right, right, right.
And that's when we decided to create something not only beneficial for us, but we wanted to be something that's beneficial for them as well. We
Okay.
wanted it to have a win-win platform. So that's when we decided to create a new community, and that was Blink Connect. And we started from zero. So since we always start from zero, so we started from zero. And at the start, first event, we had like 3 participants or something.
Really?
It was pretty disastrous, but at the same time, the speaker was amazing. So that's why me as an organizer felt really bad about it. I felt really, really bad. But at the same time, every time we host an event, we kept growing. We always grew to a new stage every time we do an event, and that was what gave me the motivation to continue doing these events and to continue doing my best in creating it, or in making it a new better version of itself.
Definitely,
And now
definitely.
we are here,
Wow.
speaking to you like this. So
Right, definitely, definitely. So
mhm,
you guys started with only 3 participants in the first event.
mhm.
What was the event that had the most amount of participants?
I would say definitely the biggest turning point
Uh-huh.
for this community was when we had the event with Anthony.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
that was a really big change, I would say. The one we had in November
Oh, the one
about,
where we met.
yes, the one where we met as well. It was
Right.
about personal branding and social networking.
Mm,
But yeah, I mean, I think it was also thanks to his network as well. But
right.
at the same time, I think the content really was something that struck a lot of people, especially our target,
Definitely.
because personal branding is something that is definitely beneficial to have, especially from an earlier stage of your career.
Right, 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 right.
So that's why I think, a lot of students, a lot of professionals in their earlier career were interested in joining or attending the event.
Definitely.
And in that event, we had around 35 to 40 attendees.
Wow.
So that was a really big game changer. Yeah. And after that, we started having a lot of repeaters,
Mhm.
and the community started to look more like a community,
That's
people interacting, people networking, people coming back every month and saying, oh, we're here again. Yeah. Woo-hoo-hoo, let's enjoy this one as well.
there you
Something like
go.
that. Right.
Right, right,
So,
right.
I mean, yeah, I mean, that was a really big game changer for us and the
Okay.
community itself.
No, that's perfect. So,
Hmm.
what would you say are the benefits of making a community? Because it's definitely hard work. You have to,
Right.
start your
Definitely.
brand, gather people, make events, or create compelling content. So,
Hmm.
why would entrepreneurs or people that have businesses make communities?
Right. So I think definitely the biggest benefit of creating a community is branding.
Okay.
Um, as long as you make it something, for example, we made it Blink Connect, produced by Blink Community or something like that. We
Mhm,
used to
mhm.
we used to always put some, the original brand in there
Right, 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 right.
somehow.
Mhm.
Or you could definitely make the community name something similar to your original company so
Right.
that people will be able to link them together, right?
Mhm.
But as long as this community becomes bigger, it really leads to better branding for your original company. And you can like right now we have SNS pages for Facebook and LinkedIn and Instagram
Right, right,
for
right,
Blink community, right?
right.
But one of our most engaging followers on these platforms are the ones that came from BlinkConnect.
Wow.
So exactly. So honestly, I really feel like, you know, if you want more followers, this could definitely lead to an increase in the follower base of all your SNS, and definitely engaging people, because these people, unlike some normal followers of your SNS profiles, you actually get to meet them. You meet them in person through these events. You have a good time together. That's why they are more willing to comment and like on your photos and posts, which leads to more engagement, right? And SNS platforms really love to highlight posts with lots of engagements and likes and comments. And that leads to possibly even more attention by the general public. So I think that's probably the biggest, you know, advantage in creating a community, especially also, like, as we said, you know, it allows you to be introduced to a new audience, which you have never touched before. That really goes for us, because before this community, we were never really having any interaction with the younger audiences.
Right.
But now, I mean, you know, this also led us to create something like a student membership plan as well. So I think these events would end up allowing your business to create new business opportunities in the future. So yeah, that's what I would say. So I think it's definitely worth it for you to put all your effort and hard work in creating a great community. And I mean, you know, lastly, I'd say these people who join your events and who likes your community, these professionals and students will always, I will assure you, they will always share about your community at events. And mouth to mouth, like, you know, advertisement or promotion from these people, that's probably the biggest, strongest promotion strategy you can probably get. It will lead to like 50, probably 60% success rate. Their friends will come to you as well, right?
Wow.
And that's how a lot of Blink's customers also are. They come from someone else's recommendation.
Exactly.
So I think these reasons are what I would say for you, like the best benefits for you to create a community for your firm.
Definitely. So basically, by having this community, it helps you develop that core audience.
Yeah.
That will then become evangelists, and then, you know, spread your content around. You know, I completely agree with you, because I've done a couple of events with you guys in the past, and, you know, it has really benefited me, like as a business person, like to expand my network, to meet more people. So definitely, you know, having this type of community is super important.
Yeah, I think like these community events, I think these community events will, you know, they don't only benefit the participants.
Right.
The participants will always gain by gaining a new skill or improving what they already had and meeting new people. But I think it also really does, we also definitely do our best to provide a place where the speakers can also benefit a lot. Through, you know, meeting new business professionals for new opportunities for them, as well as they get to share their business or firm's knowledge, right? And that kind of increases their, I'd say, branding.
Right.
And people get to know about their brand, and that their brand is basically legit, you know, if I were to say it. And I think that really may end up leading to more customers for the speakers as well. So it's really a win-win for everyone involved, all the stakeholders, which is why, yeah, I think, you know, I'm sorry to disturb you, but I just
don't worry. Thank you for all that knowledge. So basically, let's say, you know, I have my company, I want to create a community, but I have nothing. How do I start from zero?
Right. So I would say it's going to be hard. You shouldn't expect a very nice success from the get-go. It's not how it works, definitely. But I'd say you first have to meet lots of people. You have to try to get your name, get your you know, community name, get your company name out there, so that you can try to bring in as many people as you can. I mean, at the beginning, it's always going to start from the people you know. Most of the time, strangers or people you don't know wouldn't come to an event that has 0 attendees. you know?
Right, of course.
Like, it's kind of, I don't think you would either. Like, if there's 0 participants coming, I don't think you'll be pressing like, I
Yeah.
want to go to this event. I don't think you'll feel that. You'll feel the pressure, right?
Right.
So first you have to try to build something out of the people you already know. So try to invite as many people you know privately and try to get your name out there. So, I mean, this is more of a preparation before you create the community, you know? You have to try to get your network as wide as you can so that you would have a smooth start to your creation of a new community. And then after that, I would say, you know, obviously try to create those social pages, get them out there. And well, there's different strategies for these different social pages, to be honest. But mainly what I use, the social pages that I use are Facebook, Meetup, LinkedIn, and Eventbrite. Well, Eventbrite, I only use this when it's a paid event for tickets, but this also plays some part in you know, social contribution. But it's mainly going to be Facebook, Meetup, and LinkedIn. And why these three are really good? Well, Facebook, you know, it already has a very, very wide customer base, user base, sorry. And, you know, I mean, these are just numbers that we only know, organizers know. But for example, Anthony's event on November, we had a reach of around 7,000, right?
Amazing.
So the event page was seen by 7,000 people, right? So that really shows that, I mean, you know, as long as your event is really interesting, people will see it, people will read the description, and people will be, you know, probably down to come. So Facebook, simply because of its really wide user base, and also it's free, right? It's free. Why not use it?
Exactly.
Why not use it? It's free, and there's this much chances to get it. So Facebook is definitely one. And Meetup. So if you want to build a community, right, you need, I think it's better for you to have some sort of page where you can show, or you can have a place where community members can interact with each other, as well as it provides a sense of belonging for the community members, you know? And that's where Meetup comes into play. Meetup is, for those who don't know, it's basically a platform where lots of communities come together, or communities are made. There's many, or, you know, things like fintech, just studying languages. Honestly, there's many communities, but I think it's really important for you to create a page over there. And, you know, it's going to be providing another source of attendees and participants. So this is really a great place, especially for foreign people. A lot of foreign people use this platform. So if you're going to be having an English/international community, I definitely recommend you to use Meetup. And LinkedIn, lastly, well, this really does depend on what kind of community you're looking for. If you're looking for more of a community that's targeting business individuals, professionals, and maybe even like university students, I'd say, I would definitely recommend using LinkedIn events. It's a very recent released platform in LinkedIn, our new service of theirs. And LinkedIn, I think, as long as, if you're a foreign professional, wherever you are, I think you definitely have a LinkedIn account, and you're going to have a lot of network in there, most likely, or let's hope you do. And yeah, so having an event page on LinkedIn allows you to invite all your professional networks. And if your content is very, you know, related to what they're doing, or, you know, related to, for example, entrepreneurship or finance or anything of that sort, something that business professionals would be interested in, you know, inviting them and them joining will have a very high success rate, you know, which is why I definitely recommend these three platforms. And I mean, I don't think you'll have a very easy time at the start, most definitely. But for example, Facebook, over time, over doing events, I realized that we need to promote more. You know, we can't just expect the reach number to be very high just by posting it. What we have to do is try to be more proactive in sending the message out to the public. And how we do that is, one of the methods I use is, you know, searching Facebook groups that's correlated to the content or the community. For example, if the community is a very internationally based community that is targeting, you know, business kind of events, such as
Right.
entrepreneurship
Right.
and getting
Right.
your business or improving your business.
Mhm.
I would search Facebook groups that's correlated with foreign people. For
Mhm.
example, there's one called Foreigner Friends in Tokyo or International People in Tokyo,
Right.
things
Right.
like that,
Right.
right? And you can post in those groups, as well as, for example, if it's business related, then you can go to startup events group pages,
Right.
and you can post it over there.
Right.
And posting in these groups allows you to have around 1K to 2K more reaches. And I'm not kidding. Like,
Wow.
these play a really big part in creating high reach. And there's many professionals in there, more than you probably expect, honestly, because some groups have like 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 people in there, or even more, honestly. Like
Right.
some
Right.
have 10,000. So I mean, this is probably the first step, as well as the very easy step when promoting on Facebook, right? And especially on Facebook, one really good thing in Facebook is that every time an attendee presses interested or going on your page,
Mhm.
it shows on their profile feed, right? It shares on their network as well. And one person, let's say he has like 200 friends, I mean, if that person presses interested or going, it automatically like shares to 200 more people, right?
Right.
So the main goal of what you should be aiming for is having as many people press interested or going on your events, no matter like if they're actually coming or not. That's not the focus you should be putting on at that stage. What you should be focusing on is them actually sharing to their networks. Like, they don't even know, but they don't have to press share
Right.
on the pages. They don't have to press share this event. All they need to do is just be interested. That's it. And then it will be automatically shared. So that's what you have to focus on when doing Facebook events, right? And then it'll increase by time. Just give it time and try to do it as much as you can. And you'll probably have, I'd say, I mean, if it's a really interesting, successful event, you'll probably have like 200 interested or something.
Right. Right.
And yeah, so on. So, and another thing that you could possibly focus on is
Mm-hmm.
having an influential speaker. Having influential speakers means that they already have a follower base,
Right.
they already have fans to their content. So it's going to be really easy for you to build that base of your community. For example, I think Anthony also, he has a great network,
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
social network. So I think to some degree, his networks also got interested in our community, which
Mm.
allowed us to grow even further. And that's what's really great about communities. You can have as many speakers as you want, right? You can try to do a event with this speaker, with another speaker, all of them being influential speakers. So you can have a piece of the pie from all of them, right? And that could lead to your community growing even further.
Right.
But what you have to always keep in mind is that quality is above everything.
Right. Right. Right.
Don't focus on the numbers of participants. That's not the most important part. The most important part is you providing the best quality content. No matter, even if the participants 1%, 2%, three. I'm sorry, 1%, 2 people, 3 people.
Right.
If the quality is bad, they would not share it with their friends. They would not be coming back to your
Right.
future events.
Right.
So
Right.
if you have a good event, they would definitely speak about your event to other people. They will be like, next time, let's go together to this community's events. So above all, that's what you should be focusing on. So you shouldn't be in a rush in getting as many people as you can. That's
Exactly.
not, if you put a focus on there, you probably wouldn't be growing as much.
Wow.
So I think that's what I would say. I think those are the main points I would like to mention.
I love it. I love it.
That's great.
So
Thanks.
focus on quality and grow little by little. I like that. I like that. That is
Sometimes, you
definitely
might have a turning point. As long as you keep working hard, you'll probably have a turning point
right.
where your community will grow,
Yeah.
like, double the size or something, or triple even. But you just got to keep working until you get there.
Exactly. Exactly. I love that. That is really useful information.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Thank you so much. That is perfect.
Welcome. Always.
We are almost at the end of our session, and do you have any advice for people who, because I guess our audience is very similar, young people who are interested in business, design, they want to start their own thing, they want to do freelance or whatever it is.
Right.
Do you have any advice for those people that want to, take the next step or make that jump?
So you mean to make the next step in creating a new community?
Exactly.
Right. So I would say, as I mentioned, don't rush.
Don't rush.
Just do your best in creating a fun event for all stakeholders. Do a fun event for yourself, do a fun event for the speaker, and do a fun event for the participants. If everyone is having fun, everyone is going to come back. This is the rule, basically.
Right.
I mean, I've done events with Anthony 2 times, with you 2 times,
Right.
And having a win-win situation for everyone is basically what's going to lead your community to become a very good community. If I were to just mention it really simply.
Exactly.
So that's what I would tell you to focus on. And I'm sure the first step is going to be very difficult. I had it very difficult, but honestly speaking, it's normal. Every first step is going to be difficult. You're always going to have a first step. You got to start somewhere.
Right.
And no one's going to have an easy first step. So just, I wouldn't like to mention with it like this, but just deal with it. But as long as you just continue working hard, in 2 to 3 months, if you're early and if you're doing great, then in 2 to 3 months, you're going to see the results. You're going to see your fruit. So just keep working hard.
All right.
And definitely contact me if you need more help.
That's perfect.
I would love to help you. So
perfect. So how can people contact you?
All right. So I have a LinkedIn account. So if you can just connect me there or send me a message over there, I would love to help you.
Right.
If your idea seems to be something that BlinkConnect would love to collaborate on, then I would love to provide you the opportunity or platform where we can help you go to the next stage, you or your firm. So just let us know. Just let me know on LinkedIn, and I'd say we can put the link on the description down below.
Definitely.
So yeah, come check us out, or just contact me anytime you like.
That is perfect. Thank you so much. We will definitely add the link to your LinkedIn account. The last thing I want to talk about is, so guys, here in Nightcrawler, we want to create a community, like Asama said, and we really care about touching people's hearts. And what better way to touch people's hearts than with music? Music is so personal. People identify themselves with music, with songs, sounds, lyrics. For us, that's very important. We have a Spotify playlist, which I will add in our description below, called Sound Crawlers, like Night Crawlers, but with sound. And in there, we added 2 of Asama's favorite songs. So Asama, if you could, please talk to us a little bit about these 2 songs and how they inspired you.
Right. So one of them is by Fort Minor. His song, how it affected me was because, the song is more about the rapping and his rapping career. But, I never had a soft spot for rapping too much, to be completely honest. But that song, I was listening to it since I was smaller, since I was a child. And it really was speaking about his hard work and how, others weren't believing in what he could do, as well as his, what he did to get to the point he is.
Right.
And that's what really pushed me. I just realized hard work is always necessary in whatever you do. And people are going to hate, but you got to just keep going.
They're going to hate.
You got to work hard to prove them wrong, So I think that's definitely one of the songs. And the other song is by Lucas Graham. It's called 7 Years. And this song, this song just mentioned about his whole life, from his child to, well, he's still young, but he was kind of speaking of how he would like to be when he was more older or at an elderly age.
Right.
And, it just provided me some sort of input on how I should look at the future. This song really did mention about, yeah, usually songs really mention about only until the present, like past to the present. But this
Right.
song mentioned about the future, where you still don't know anything and you're probably very uncertain. You know, it's filled with uncertainty, but you know, you always still have to think about it. It has to always be in the side of your brain, um, and you have to try to work hard to get the result you hope to attain. You know,
Definitely.
and this song is kind of influencing me in that area, where I decided to start to think more about my future, basically, to work hard at the present to be at a point that I want to be in the future.
Exactly.
So those are the two songs and how they influenced me.
That's perfect. Actually, the last song basically like makes a full circle, you know,
Right.
because our whole conversation is about the future, preparing for the future, you know, how people can become and be if they work hard. So I think that closes, you know, our conversation perfectly.
Indeed, it is.
Asama, any final message? Final message.
Final message. Well, thank you for inviting me to this first episode of your new series, Our Community, and it was a pleasure to speak to you. And I hope my message is shared across to many, and I hope that it was useful for everyone watching this. And feel free to contact me, as I said, on LinkedIn. Thank you very much for listening, and thank you for inviting me.
Of course, Asama, thank you so much for, you know, coming to the show. We just started the show, and it is my honor and pleasure to have you as my first guest. You have helped me a lot since we met in November, and, you know, interviewing you has been my pleasure. Guys, thank you so much for joining Nightcrawlers Volume 1. We're going to have our second episode next Saturday, May 5th at 7 p.m. with Anthony. I'm pretty sure you're going to enjoy that too. So, Asama, I hope you can join.
All right, of course.
Yeah, but Asama, again, thank you so much, man. You are the real MVP.
No problem.
You guys, thank you for joining. Remember to follow your dreams, work hard, and change the world. You can do it.
Most
And
definitely.
I'll see you guys next time.